my name is Gabby Williams. I'm a student at the University of South Alabama. This is my case study presentation for a class. Edu311 is the class. Before we get started, I'm going to ask for a little bit of patience for whoever's viewing this because I'm videoing it on a selfie stick, which is like over there. And we all know technology loves to have a mind of its own, so I'm going to go, walk back and forth to make sure it's still recording me. But anyway, so let's dive right in. Whoa, what's happening? Like I said, technology likes to have a mind of its own. Anyways, so I have had the privilege of working with a student. His name is Caden. And Caden is a 4th grader at Dodge Elementary in Miss Weekly's class. He comes from, Caden's a twin, and he and his brother come from a 2-mom family. I think it's very interesting and it's very diverse. He has no recollection or memory of ever having a father figure. He has always had 2 moms in his life. And I think that's really interesting, and it definitely sets him apart from the other kids, because as far as I'm concerned in my class, no one else has a 2-mom or 2-dad family, so it definitely sets him apart, and it's pretty cool. Caden has ADHD, and he is placed in a general ed setting classroom, but for a minimum 30 minutes to a maximum of about an hour a day, he does go to Miss Bush, his special ed teacher, every single day. And he's not the only one in our class, but he'll go and he'll work on various assignments, whatever's sent with him or whatever Miss Bush has for him. So some strengths and interests of Caden. Caden enjoys reading so much. I have done various assignments with him that helped me get to know Caden a lot better. And he loves to read. His favorite time about school, though, he likes any free time he can spend with his friends. But his favorite subject is reading and language arts because he loves to read. His favorite books, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, that is his #1. I think he's read all of them a bajillion times. Captain Underpants, he likes those too. He thinks those are pretty funny. He plays various games. When he gets home with his brother, he has told me they have this massive Lego set, which apparently they build, they're like little engineers. They go home and build these houses and castles and cars and just different things with their Lego sets, which is pretty cool. Caden, he is a runner, and you can tell. He is about this big around. He says when he goes home every day, he'll play with his brother. They'll do, whatever they feel like doing. But when his moms go jogging in the afternoon around the neighborhood, he's like, I lap them 2 or 3 times. So he's definitely active, and he loves to run, and he loves to be outside and just, be a boy, be a 4th grade boy. Caden's very positive. He has such a positive outlook on life and on every situation he's put in, whether it's academically or socially. He never gives up to try his best in everything that's brought his way, which is super inspiring. Some academic and behavioral challenges of Caden. Academic-wise, Caden is an extremely, extremely hard worker. He loves, like I said, he loves to read, and, anything that has to do with reading and language arts, he just blows me away. He does struggle a lot with math, but I think a lot of that has to do with his lack of engagement in math. He doesn't really show that he has any interest to learn about math. I asked him, why don't you like math? And he said because he's given quizzes and math fact drills all the time, which, is understandable. Caden's a hands-on learner. He likes to get his hands dirty and get involved with what he's learning with. And so, I think he definitely should start using manipulatives a little bit more to help him, get that hands-on effect with math, and maybe try and help him learn a little bit more about math and just overall becoming a better math student. let's see. Okay, we did a sociogram together, the whole class, but I specifically, you know, took a few students and worked one-on-one with them, and Caden was one. I asked them questions of who's your best friend, who do you play with at PE, things like that. And Caden chose his 3 best friends, and it made me so happy because when I got those children's sociogram back, they also chose Caden as their best friend, which was, you know, good because it helped me to realize, okay, Caden's friendships with these people, with these peers, it's not just a one-way street. They also care about him, and you know that it was good to see that. What else? What's academic and behavioral history on Caden? So, Caden was, you know, he transferred to Dodge Elementary his 3rd grade year, and that is when his teacher went and said, you know, they decided it's best to get Caden tested and see what kind of additional services he can be offered, whether through a 504 IEP. Caden does have an IEP. He receives intervention every day, 30 minutes to an hour or so. Unless, you know, he really is struggling, he'll stay a little bit longer in Miss Bush's room. And in there, he'll work on whether it's an assignment she has for him, whether Miss Bush, if Miss Weekly sends him and it's an assignment that, you know, he does need one-on-one with. He needs that, you know, those accommodations. We'll do that. Testing. A lot of Caden's tests are done in Miss Bush's room because, you know, he doesn't really have the attention span to sit down for that period of time to, you know, give his best effort in those tests. And so he goes and he'll work one-on-one with Miss Bush on various assignments. So I did 3 observations of Caden in 3 different settings: classroom, music class, and the cafeteria. In the classroom, I did it during math period, which, you know, may not have been the best idea, but that's okay. You know, I was completely aware at the time of Caden's feelings, I guess you could say, towards math. So it definitely it wasn't a big shock for me to, you know, see him not engaged and not work well with his partner. But it did surprise me when they did get the manipulatives out on the table, the base 10 blocks. They were adding fractions, and Caden, he decided to get those base 10 blocks out. And, you know, he worked and he didn't get it right. I went over and I checked and I said, baby, that's not right, you know, whatever. Well, he tried again, which is unlike Caden. You know, usually if he's getting something wrong in math, he's like, well, I tried and I'm done. Well, he tried again and he got it right, and it just made his whole day. It made my day. And it definitely helps him working with his partner. They continued to work together. The observation of Caden in music, that was my favorite. He was partnered with a student from another classroom, and they, you know, had to perform different various, you know, invisible instruments. You know, the teacher would call out, let me see your piano, and they would do a dance that they made up to show a piano, and a guitar and drums, and it was just so fun to watch Caden let loose. And I know he's always so happy and so positive, but he's usually with those 3 friends that, you know, that he has. And so when he was paired with somebody different, it was good to see him engaged with that other student. And even with the music going on and all the chaos in the room, usually Caden would get really, you know, out of hand, and he didn't. He really had some good, you know, self-monitoring skills going on during that time. In the lunchroom, Caden, it was interesting to observe him in this setting as well, because, you know, if he's usually faced with the decision to, you know, to make a right or wrong decision, oftentimes Caden will choose the easy way out and go with the wrong decision. Not meaning that he, you know, is a bad student or anything. He just sometimes likes to talk and disrupt and interrupt, and, you know, he's a boy. But, you know, Caden, Damien, his best friend, sat down, and we were on red cup, which means no talking, and, you know, Damien started talking to him, and Caden would not speak to him. And I'm not sure if he knew it was because I was observing him or not, but regardless, he chose to make the right decision, and I love to see that in him, you know, definitely growing. Some social strengths and challenges. Like I said, we kind of touched on this earlier. You know, with his strengths, he definitely is a very sweet boy, and with the sociogram activity, he was engaged, and you know, although he's very social, he doesn't have a whole lot of friends, and he isn't really the popular kid in class, but that's okay. He doesn't have to be. He has his friends, and that makes him happy, and you know, he's okay with that, and I'm okay with that. Some effective interventions. When I taught a few of my lessons during whole group, I would seat Caden directly next to me, right at my feet. That way I can help him monitor his behavior instead of poking or giggling or doing the things that he normally would do. I would say, Caden, why don't you come sit next to me? And it would help him, you know, not every time, but it would help him pretty much kind of, you know, stay somewhat focused in the lesson, regardless if it was something that he enjoyed learning about or not. During small group, I also sat Caden, you know, we're at a kidney table, and you know, I had about 5 students in each group, and during Caden's group, if I instructed the students to read this passage or answer these questions, that's when I would do one-on-one with Caden, and I would, you know, read that with him, and I would read those questions to him, and we would just work one-on-one, and giving him that attention and showing him that I care, it really would, you know, it helped for sure. Reflection on intervention, again, we just touched on that. He definitely works better, or he has with me, when I show an interest in what he's doing and his progress, and Caden definitely desires attention, whether it's from me or Miss Weekly or Miss Bush or his peers. He desires attention, and so when I gave him that attention, when I gave him, you know, a little bit of one-on-one, it worked. You know, not every time, but it did work for the most part. So I did a positive behavior support with Caden, and I really, it's so, you know, uplifting to know that he cares so much about what I think about his work, and I'm sure he thinks the same thing about me. But so we, anytime Caden has a, you know, an assignment or a test or something, I would just simply go over to him and kind of look over and say, Caden, you're doing such a good job, or Caden, I'm so proud of the work you've done, you know, regardless if it was at the level that he needed to be or not, because when I gave him those encouraging words, it was like a light bulb in his head. Oh my gosh, Miss Williams really cares about what I'm doing. I need to like really try my best and give my best effort. And he did that every time. My only regret with that is I wish I would have given Caden some type of, you know, I wanted to give him, and it's too late now because we're done with the field, but that's okay. You'll live and you learn. I wish I would have, you know, given him some type of like, you know, reward system, not just positive words, but, you know, whether it's a sticker on his paper or a piece of candy, just something, you know, physical that he can touch and see, not just, you know, kind words. But what did I learn from Caden? I learned Caden is an incredible 10-year-old boy. I learned that he is positive and has a great outlook on life. I learned that, you know, Caden, for one, has taught me, don't give up on your goals. Don't let, you know, the struggle, the daily life struggles and curveballs define who you are as a person. Always keep that positivity and be that kind person that, you know, everyone wants to see in someone else. I'm going to end it on a couple quotes. This one, it says, don't give up. I believe in you all. A person's a person, no matter how small. And that's from Dr. Seuss. Horton Hears a Who. And that's one of Caden's favorite books and mine as well.